Okay, I'm so excited to talk about the next topic that I almost forgot to tell you who I am. Hi, I'm a Chemi. This is a Chemi Kai Inner Beauty, where we improve our outer world by improving our inner world. And I like to talk about law of assumption and inner work. So today I want to talk about revision, revising old timelines. This is like one of my favorite things. I worked on this last summer and I had such a positive experience. It was really challenging for me and I loved it, and I definitely want to do more of this kind of work, but it is phenomenal. So what is revision? Well, first of all, you need to go back and watch other videos to get the foundations to understand what we're talking about before you watch this, or else it won't make sense. You need to watch the original videos on like what is law of assumption so that you understand what it is as a concept and as a view on reality, because it is a very different view of reality than other views on reality that you will have been exposed to in like the world's religions or your upbringing with your parents or what you were taught in school. It's very different. So you need to go and watch the foundations in order to understand, and then you might want to watch like one of the videos on timelines so that you understand what we're talking about here. And then this is like a more advanced thing. Once you've already been working a little bit with law of assumption and you've been working a bit with timelines, then you can try this one on, and this one's really fun. And it works great for reclaiming your younger self from some experiences that you had when you were growing up that were unpleasant, and that, you know, you did it. If you could go back and rewrite them, you would. So we will. Okay, so revision is basically based on the idea that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe. We are living in a creation that exploded at the Big Bang and contains everything. Everything is here all at once. Past, present, future, everything is here. It's all here. You have access to all of it. All you have to do is use yourself to move around and switch to different timelines to have the experiences you want to have. What does this mean? This also means you can rewrite the past. Why? Because the past doesn't exist anymore, except in your mind. The only thing you've got is the present. So if you want to change something about the past, what you're really doing is changing something in yourself. Like you had a past experience that was so negative when you were X years old, and it caused your life to be, you know, really unpleasant for the certain amount of time, and you're holding that inside you, and it's still dictating how you show up or how you remember yourself to be, or your self-concept. And what you want to do is rewrite that story, because where does it exist? It's nowhere, right? Your brain doesn't know any difference between your imagination and reality, and you can rewrite the story with your imagination using your fantasy to play it out in the way that you want it to play out, and then imagine how you would be different if that had gone differently. Okay, and then you embody the change. Okay, and then you start interacting with the world and with even those people from the past, if they're still family members or whatever in your life that went through it also, but you're interacting from your new version of yourself that did not go through that experience, and you will find that energy shifts even in the relationships that you have with your family members or neighbors or whatever, brother, sister, whoever was also there during that time. Okay, so how do you do revision? Well, first of all, you can just use your imagination. You can just visualize. You can just do a meditation where you lay down and you close your eyes and you take yourself visually back to that time that you experienced that thing that you didn't like, and use your imagination to rewrite how that moment went and put it in a different way. And then you can extend your imagination forward by like taking that story forward and rewriting the timeline between that revision all the way up to today. And how would your life be different, and where would you be now? And then when you wake up, what you're going to do is embody the feeling state of who you are, having gone through the different experience and not through the bad one. And it will shift how you feel and who you are in the present. And then you want to carry that forward. Okay? There is a very cool course that you can take on the internet where they really dive into revision, and I don't think it's free, but I don't think it's expensive. I will put the link for that below because it is one of the trainings that I went through, and it is really cool. And if you want to dive deeper into revising old memories and doing that in a way that it's kind of like, I do a lot of work with hypnosis. Hypnosis works great with this kind of stuff because the brain does not know the difference. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to kind of like get the emotional charge out of the body and recreate who you are in the present moment. And you're kind of like reorganizing yourself and your energy and your emotions that are held in your body by doing this kind of work, right? And when you go into a hypnotic state and do it, it's very effective because hypnosis kind of taps into your subconscious. And it's easy to do in the state of hypnosis. And if you don't know anything about hypnosis, it's not like that stuff you see in that the magicians do. It's not that. I don't even know how those people act like cats on stage or bark like dogs or whatever, because I have been through hypnotherapy sessions like a bazillion times, and I also am trained in doing it with people for this purpose, and nobody ever acts like that. And I've certainly never felt that way. So I think those people must be faking to crowd please or something. But anyway, that's not what hypnosis is. It's more like, that state where you're laying in your bed and you're like falling asleep, or you're waking up from a dream and you're kind of like, it's almost like you're underwater and you're coming up and you're not quite awake yet. You're like aware that you've been sleeping, but you can kind of still remember your dream. But if you don't hold on to your dream and bring it with you up through the water, like you'll forget it by the time you wake up. That is like the zone where hypnosis happens, and I believe it's just a brainwave state. Like it could be theta, it could be delta, I'm not sure. You'll have to look it up. I'm not going to say what it is because I might be making a mistake. It's one of them. It's one of the brainwave states that we pass through when we go between like deep like REM sleep and like waking state. So anyway, I don't know if it's theta or whatever, delta, theta. Anyways, it's also the state that the monks use for their meditations, so they hook those Tibetan monks up to, probes and stuff that measure their brainwave states, and they find that they're like in the theta state when they're chanting and stuff like that, which is really cool because it's a state where the body can heal itself, and you can also rescript your stories and make changes to your emotional body. So let's talk about that too, the emotional body. What does that even mean? Well, I'm also a Chinese medicine doctor. That was earlier time in my life where I had a clinic practice for quite a few years, and I'm not doing clinic right now, but the theory is still very helpful to apply to this. So Chinese medicine, you have, it's a little bit similar to those images you've seen in like maybe Indian, like in yoga, okay, where you see these pictures where they show the body in a meditative position, and it shows that you have like the physical body and then you have the chakras, right? So because the body is multidimensional, we have like the physical body, the animal body, and then we have like the astral body, which is where we go when we're dreaming, and then we have like the energy body, we have like the mental body, that's like the realm of thoughts, we have the emotional body, that's the emotions that we have, and all of these bodies that we have are like kind of affecting our experience, right? Like you can have a physical experience of like slamming your finger in the door and experiencing pain. It's a different kind of pain than if somebody breaks your heart, right? Where is that located? But you still can have a feeling, right? And it can even lead you to develop like prolapsed mitral valve and stuff like that. And say that like a lot of people who get that diagnosis of prolapsed mitral valve, that happens when they went through a really bad divorce or something. So like there can be effects, like one level of the body can affect another level. So the energy body and the emotional body and the astral body and the physical body, like they can affect each other. And that is kind of the realm of where we have questions about disease and like, how does disease happen? And in Chinese medicine, they say like you can develop long-term chronic illnesses after having like stuffed, painful emotional content in your body for years and years and years that you didn't process, and eventually it will turn into something, right? autoimmune diseases, cancers, things like that when you're older, if that like that content has not been like let go from the body. Okay, these are like theories. You can look them up, you can read about them, you can go look at the medical medium. Like there's a lot of content out there that you can go you know, if you find something that I say is interesting, you can like run off and go down the rabbit hole on the internet over that. So I will post the link to the online course that I took where they do all this like rewriting of past trauma memories and changing them, and it literally changes like the energetic field, the charge that you're holding in your body from those past traumas, and like it rewires your nervous system. And these guys are really into like, these guys are like millionaires and stuff, so they're really into like increasing wealth and success in business. Okay, so that's like a path a lot of people are on. Not everybody's on that path, but if you are, that's a really cool resource. And the guy's name is Peter Szabo, and he's like this very cool Czech guy who like became a millionaire when he was like 13 years old after watching The Secret and like figuring out like how this all works. And he's a very cool person, and he created this very cool online system that you can, it's like an online course you can take. It's not expensive, and it's just very cool. And I think he has some coaches over there too that you can do sessions with where they do this like rescripting kind of stuff. But anyways, I've given you like the basic rescripting, which you can do, and we can talk more about it if you have questions. So you can drop your comments down below if you want to talk more about any aspect of rewriting timelines or rescripting timelines. And if anybody has like something they want me to dive into more, I can make another video on that topic. So anyways, that's all for today. So hope to see you in the next one.